What's going on, everybody? It is Queen Kimmy from Kimmy_Queen of Crafts, and I'm doing my first official Wip and Chat, which is work in progress, is what Wip stands for, and chat is chat. Now, I saw two videos today that actually made me feel like this is something that I want to share this on my heart. So let me go over the details of what I'm working on, and then I will get into what it's in reference to. So I am working on Moon Owl Magic. It's a Diamond Art Club painting, and I'm trying to do it for the Drills and Chills and Festivals of Witches. I didn't really find out about the event until beginning of October, so I may be a little bit behind. I'm about a third of the way through, but if I finish it or not, either way, it's nice to work on it. This is my drill tray. It has a little spout over here. This is for my 3D, from my 3D designs. I really like this spout because the issue I have is when I'm getting all the jewels right here, they tend to fall out from right here. So this helped make sure it just goes directly into your tray. So this is my drill tray. Another drill tray I'm using is Creations by Ellie. I got both of these off of Etsy. This one, it has a top on it, but also this is the spout where you can pour out the drills. You close the top and you can shake it up to get your drills aligned, or close the top and pour it out back into whatever you have it stored in. I'm just using a basic pen. This is one that I got from Diamond Art Club. That came with any old painting. And then this is one that I got from Craftably. That comes with any old diamond painting. It's so funny because I find that I lose my pens often and I'm always starting a new one. So typically I have them with a 4-placer and a 7-placer. I couldn't find my 7-placer one, so I just started using this one. Let me do this. I just started using this one, and then I found this one and it was on the floor. So I lose my stuff all the time. But yes, that's what's going on. This is, like I said, my official first work in progress in chat. And so I definitely want to give a trigger warning. This is going to be about mental health. And so if mental health is something that you suffer from, or something that impacts you or someone in your life, you may want to click off of the video. And I'll give a little bit of time for that to happen. So what's going on? How's everybody doing today? You know what? I'm blessed. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be alive. And so I saw a video from, I know the first one for sure was Crafting with Shay. I have to look up the other one. I believe the other one was from Rachel Rae. Now don't quote me on that. If it wasn't her, I'll link the video down in the description. And it spoke to me because both of them recently spoke about mental health. Now, I have had my own personal dealings with mental health, and seeing both of those videos was kind of like a sign for me to be able to kind of share my journey with it as well. For me, it really started after my mom passed away. And when my mom passed away, I noticed that I just felt lost. I had all these feelings and emotions that I didn't know really like what to do with. And so it started impacting me where I couldn't concentrate at work because I was always thinking about my mom, or, why am I feeling this way? I can't explain why I'm feeling this way. And so I ended up going to the doctor. The first doctor I went to, I don't want to say I didn't like the doctor. I didn't like the medicine she had put me on because It was a doctor that did like a pill for a pill. So like, first off, the depression medicine, they told me like, you have depression, you also want to see a therapist. And I am black or African American, and mental health in the African American community is almost like taboo. It's not talked about. You may hear like, we don't do therapy, we go to church. Well, my saying on that is most of the people I've heard say that don't go to church. So I'm like, not only are you not doing therapy, but you're also not doing church. So it's kind of hypocritical to say, don't do therapy, just go to church. Well, I haven't found my church home yet. And so I can't just go and sit in church and still have all these thoughts and feelings. And I'm not knocking it. Church does a lot for a lot of different people. It helps keep them grounded. I haven't found a place that has me feeling like that yet. I kind of did, but I recently kind of distanced off from it. But I haven't found that one church that's like, okay, this is where I need to be because the Lord is speaking to me. So, what happened was the first depression medicine they put me on, I slept all day long. Literally. I did nothing but sleep. I told her it was making me tired and sleep all day, and she's like, it's fine. Your body needs to get adjusted to it. It's going to take a few weeks for that to happen. Okay. A few weeks, I was still sleeping all day. And so then she prescribed me a medicine to help me stay awake. So not only was I staying awake, I wasn't going to sleep. So I went back and I said, excuse me. I went back and I said, okay, now I can't sleep at night. So then what she did was she put me on a sleeping pill. I was back to sleeping all day. And so I went back to her. I'm like, okay, now I'm back sleeping all day. And then, like, the combination of the medicines gave me like heartburn and other symptoms. So it was difficult for me because I'm a person that rarely takes medicine. I will take a Benadryl if my allergies flare up. I may take a painkiller if I have cramps. Outside of that, I typically never really took medicine. So I told the doctor I didn't like being on all these medicines. I didn't like being given a pill, excuse me, to fix another problem that one pill was creating. I felt like I wasn't being heard. So I did something that I'm recommending that you do not do. And I just stopped taking everything. And for a while, my thought was you get put on the medicine to see how normal you felt before the medicine, because the medicine has its own ways of making you feel certain ways. Now, I'm going to say again, I'm not saying that you should or should not take medicine. This is just my personal experience. So then I switched to another doctor. This doctor is my current doctor now, and I absolutely love her because she does something that I feel like a lot of doctors don't do, and she listens. She listens, she asks questions, she'll say, how long has this been going on? And so when I went to her and she was like, I want to put you on an antidepressant. I said, nope, they put me on this and I slept all day. Well, what I like about this doctor is she researches medicine before she prescribes it. So she said, I'm sorry you had that experience with that medicine, but that medicine has actually been proven to be ineffective in black people. And I was like, So she's like, I'm going to give you something else. I fought taking it for a while because the doctor that I have, she would rather you try home remedies first. She's like, try to work out, try to get an adequate amount of rest, try to Make sure that you have like a clean diet. Don't eat too many fast foods. You know, the typical things that doctors tell you, just in general, to help you feel better. And so, of course, I tried those, went back to her, still having those feelings I couldn't understand, which turned out to be depression. So she put it to me in a different way for me to understand, which is whenever you are depressed, there is a chemical imbalance in your brain. And so taking the medicine helps regulate those chemicals. Once she explained that to me, I was just a little bit, sorry, I bumped the camera. I was a little bit more open to taking medicine. So she's like, I'm giving you kids doses and you're not taking it. She's like, just take it. We're going to check back in with you. And so when I took it, if I said, okay, I now have heartburn, I can't sleep, I do this, instead of her saying, here's a pill for each symptom, she said, let's change the medicine. So she helped work with me to where I got to a medicine that worked for me. And that's one thing about mental health is you can't give up on the process, because the technology is not out there to just say like, oh, okay, based off your age, height, weight, this is what's going to work for you. Sometimes you do have to try a few different ones until you find what works for you. So I was doing that along with going to therapy. For a while, I kind of resisted therapy because I grew up in a family where you don't really talk about what your problems are. So I didn't really know how to talk about what was going on with me. And when I got in therapy, it really kind of helped me get into the root cause of like what's going on. Why do you feel this way? Where did these feelings come up from? So one thing about therapy is that you visit your past to see how it shaped your future. So one thing I will share that I learned about myself, well, I'll share two things. One thing is that I don't have a middle ground. I go from one extreme to the next, and I don't know how to balance out the middle. So, to give you an example, if the doctor said, I want you to start working out, I want you to ease into it, try 3 days a week, I would just go for an hour to the gym every day and then burn out. So that's what I do is I go from one extreme to the next. I have to find a way to a middle ground to ease everything up and balance it out. Another thing I learned about myself, and this was a big eye opener for me, as Oprah says, an aha moment. I did not realize that you can make yourself sick. And what I mean by that is when I was in therapy and she would ask, so whenever a situation comes up or whenever something happens, what do you do? Well, like I said, I grew up in a family where we didn't talk about problems, and I am very, 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 very sensitive. Now that I'm older, I'm not as sensitive as I used to be, but I'm still sensitive. So, whenever something came up in the family, for one thing, I don't like conflict. It makes me physically sick to my stomach, having to deal with conflict. So when something did come up in my family, I would act like it was no big deal. And then when I got by myself, I would go in a room, act like I'm going to sleep, and I would just let my heart break. And I would cry for a really, really, really long time. The cry where you're like, where you can't breathe. Well, also, when I was explaining this to the therapist, I'm like, yeah, so I go in the room, I have some pains in my chest, my arm starts to tingle and go numb, and then I have a hard time breathing, and then I just start crying uncontrollably for a really long time. And I was like, yeah, so I handle it the normal way. I don't show anybody that something's bothering me, and I just deal with it. And she's like, honey, that is not the normal way to deal with it. And I'm like, what do you mean? Everybody doesn't do this? Because I thought everybody went to just go cry by themselves and not cry in front of everybody. And so she's like, no, you're making yourself sick. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. What do you mean I'm making myself sick? Nobody makes herself sick. She's like, no, like you're creating symptoms. When something arises in you, you don't just deal with it directly. You hold it in and then it comes out in the form of the symptoms you have. She said, you shouldn't get to a point where you can't breathe. You shouldn't get to a point where your arm is tingling and go numb. You shouldn't feel like you're about to black out. I did not know that that was not normal. I thought that, you don't talk about your problems, you hold it in, and then you just let it all out later. So I had to work with my therapist on not internalizing things, because that's what I did is I would internalize things. I had to work with my therapist about not internalizing things and dealing with it as it comes up, even to the point where she was like, walk around in a bubble. And I'm like, what? And she said, walk around in a bubble. And whatever is bothering you, let it bounce off of you. And whatever brings you joy, let it into your bubble. So those are just two things that I learned about myself during therapy. Hold on, baby.
What did it tell you?
Hold on, everybody. My 6-year-old needs to tell me something. What, baby?
Look at my speed.
Oh, girl, wait. I'm doing a video. Sorry, everybody. She is obsessed with Sonic, so she wants to show me everything that she does on there because she just loves Sonic. So, those are two things that I learned about myself in therapy. And so, I actually need to go back to therapy, because I'm still working through some things. I did learn a lot from my therapist, but it's something that I wish I wouldn't have stopped. I ended up changing jobs and insurances and things like that. But I do need to go back to therapy because I honestly, and this is just my personal opinion, I feel like everybody should go to therapy because it definitely helps you recognize some things about yourself that you may not know or recognize because you feel like doing certain things or feeling certain ways is normal or how everybody deals with it. So, my thought is everybody should go to therapy at least 5 times. Um, and that will give you a good sense of, do you have things you want to work on or are you completely fine with dealing with things the way you do? But yes, I just wanted to share that little tidbit about my journey with mental health and also just saying that, it's okay to talk about it. It's like I said, I've noticed more that there are a lot of celebrities coming out talking about their mental health. And I think that's really big because, you know, whether celebrities want to or not, they have an obligation to people, and people watch their every move. So I just definitely want to say, if you don't know, it is okay to talk about it. It's okay to talk about it. You have to surround yourself with people that are rooting for you, that are not going to judge you, that are going to praise your journey and your efforts to make yourself a better you if that's your goal. Um, you have to find those people that are in your corner because, unfortunately, in a lot of ways, your life, your drama, what's going on with you is other people's entertainment. So, not everybody has your best interest at heart. So make sure you find those people who are really rooting for you, who are not judging you, who can listen and empathize with you if that's what you need. Um, but also don't let that become your crutch. You really have to learn to be there for yourself. And like I said, A lot of these are things that are supposed to be taught to us as we're growing up. And it's crazy because when I talk to my therapist, I would constantly say to her, like, I'm the only one that's doing this. And she's like, no, sweetie, you're not. She said, we talk about being passive, we talk about being aggressive, we talk about passive aggressive, and then we talk about being assertive. And she said, like, 95% of the world is either passive aggressive or passive aggressive. She's like, there's that small 5% that are taught how to be assertive. But where the issue lies is that, a lot of people don't know how to be assertive themselves. And so, like, if my mom was not taught to be assertive, I cannot expect her to teach me something that she never learned herself. And so, that's what I try to instill in my children is that you don't always have to say something. You don't always have to speak up. There's a time and there's a place for everything. You don't have to respond to everything. And I really try to put that in them like, you don't have to say anything. You don't have to respond. You can just have your peace with letting the situation be the way it is. And so, yes, definitely surround yourself with people who are rooting for you and that only want to see you win and can help you grow to the level you're trying to grow to. Um, I believe it was Will Smith that said this, that your, oh, I know I'm going to say it wrong, but you'll know what I mean when I say it. He said something like, how you are is defined by the 5 people that are the closest to you. And that really spoke to me because it's like, okay, I really had to think, okay, who's the closest to me? And then how is this person? Am I happy to be with this person and around this person? Or do they bring me stress? Um, in my situation, so I'll go into some of my other issues. So we moved around a lot when we were little. And it made me feel unwanted. Moving around a lot, going from one house to the next, moving with one family member from another family member. And I'll share more of that just later on. Um, but it just made me feel unwanted. So what I did was I would seek out people who needed help because I felt like if a person needed help, that they would need me and they would never leave me. So you see how like some of that logic comes in from how you grow up visiting your childhood. So that's what I used to do. I would say, okay, she doesn't have a job. I'll help her pay a bill here and there, and then she'll always need me around. Or he doesn't have this, so I'll do this and that. So I'm the one that's doing it, so they'll always need me around. Well, a great lesson that I learned from my ex, my oldest daughter's father is you can do everything for a person expecting that they won't leave, and they will still leave. So I'm grateful, even though we're not together, I'm grateful for the relationship with him because he taught me a lot about people and then I learned a lot about myself. Um, but yes, that's just a few things I just wanted to share about, my journey with mental health. And it's an ongoing thing. It's not something that you go to bed one night and wake up depressed and then you go to bed and wake up the next day and you're not depressed. It's a process. You have to be willing to unpack all of your uns, which is like, do you feel unworthy? Do you feel unlovable? Like, unpack all of those and sit with those thoughts and think like, okay, why do you feel that way? Okay, what can you do to make yourself not feel that way? And having those conversations with yourself. Like, one thing that I used to do that I need to get back into is journal. Whenever anything would happen, I would write it in a journal, and the journal was like a person to me. So I would open up my journal and be like, oh my gosh, there's so much going on that I have to tell you, because I'm treating the journal like a person. So I'm like, so this happened and that happened and this happened and that happened. And then after I did all of that, I just felt so much better. But if you feel, I can't even say depressed, because if you've never been depressed, you don't know what it feels like. But if you feel like something is not right, if you feel like something inside of you doesn't feel right, if you're having intrusive thoughts that don't feel right or don't sound right, it is okay to go and ask for help. It's okay to go and get help. There's nothing wrong with you wanting to get yourself better. And I feel like I need to say that because I know that I feel like in the world we are growing a lot when it comes to mental health, but I do still feel like there's a lot of taboo around it. So, um, yes, I think that's kind of what I will share for today. Um, if you have any questions, comments, or what I like to say, emotional outbursts, please leave them down below in the comment section. More than happy to hear from people and speak to people that may be, going through things, just to be that encouraging person. And just know that there are resources out there. It can be expensive going to a private therapist, but there are programs out there that will help you get access to therapy for free and things like that. You just have to kind of look. I'm here in the state of Texas, and in the state of Texas, you can dial, I believe it's 211. And if you dial 211 and just say, hey, this is what's going on and I need help, they can help you with getting some resources that provide you some additional assistance with multiple things. So, yes, I think that's where I'll kind of wrap it up. Like I said, if this is something that you'd like to talk about, like to have me talk about more, please leave it down in the comments. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I need to say. Yeah, just, love yourself, take care of yourself. It's not selfish to put yourself first at times. You can't always put everybody else first. And you heard of the term, my cup runneth over? It's funny, I never knew what that meant until somebody said the term means that my cup runneth over. So whatever runs over, you can give to other people, but what's inside is for you. And that's okay to have that inside for you, because if you're not there for yourself and you are not taking care of yourself, your cup is going to be empty. And if your cup is empty, you're not going to have anything in there to give to other people. You can't give to people what you don't have for yourself. So, yes, I will definitely go ahead and end it right there. And thank you for hanging out with me. Hopefully I can start doing some more Whip and Chats. But watching those two videos, they really spoke to me. Hearing other people's journey. And so, yeah, I know the one was crafting with Shay. I'm going to go through my library to find the other one so I can give you the name of the two people that I heard about it from. Just so you can hear a little bit more about their journey and how they're dealing with things that have occurred, whether it's with their family or with themselves. But yes, thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you for listening to me. And as I always say, if no one's told you they love you today, I love you, and I'm sending you a heart.